Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Would you like even more content? Here's my Patreon. Now onto the stories. Case file number 1171, written by nonkeymuts, the Checkmark of Mystery. The most unexplained thing that's happened to me in my life was in a first grade classroom. The teacher had left the room while we were watching Land Before Time, and she had placed her favorite student in charge of the room while she was gone. Basically, her duties were to keep everyone quiet and also to keep track of misbehavior with a checkmark on the board. About 5 minutes after she left, this girl wrote my name on the board with a check next to it, meaning I did something wrong. Slightly flabbergasted by what she was doing, I didn't say anything and remained in my seat. When the teacher came back, she naturally asked why my name was on the board. This is the weird part. The girl told her that I had gotten up from my desk and hit a girl that was sitting on the other side of the room. Obviously, I denied it because I had been sitting at my desk the whole time. My teacher asked the class if I had hit the girl across the room, and every single person in the class, including my best friend, matter-of-factly stated that I had. Of course, my parents were called, and I denied it to them as well. My best friend always insisted that I had hit that girl. There were no weird lapses in time or memory, and that's the only time something like that has happened to me. Case notes for file 1171, the Checkmark of Mystery. So a full classroom-style gaslighting prank gone too far? Let's say I'll keep that explanation as a small possibility on the far corner of the table, but I don't think it's that. There are two glitch explanations that pop to mind here. The first is the real player controlling us via our soul, controlling you in this case, the us in the real world, took control of your body momentarily and did in fact walk over and bonk that girl for no discernible reason. The other explanation is the whole classroom was affected by multiversal peering. This explanation excites me most because it would be my first account reading a story where multiversal peering affected dozens of people simultaneously in the same place, but with the caveat of one person, you, not being affected. Which would tell me that it's not related to space-time warping or anything like that. The geometry of that wouldn't fit if everyone else was affected. Unless some people are immune to it, that's an interesting angle too. Maybe some people are immune to multiversal peering. Whatever causes it, some people's souls doesn't make that connection, I guess. But maybe it's just related to direct interfacing with people's minds and souls. Whatever triggered it left you out. Or again, maybe you are immune to it. That's very interesting though, the immunity theory. But the how and why this is happening is the real mystery, and I can't say to that. Bonus file, written by Weft, Sigur Ros and the Ethereal Evidence. This happened a while ago. I used to listen to Sigur Ros every night while falling asleep. I was always into the paranormal and still am. I've always had suspicions that there was something in my parents' house. Well, one night, I was laying in bed just about to go to sleep. All of a sudden, I felt something walk into my room. It's kind of hard to explain. I just felt a presence in the room. I opened my eyes and of course I saw nothing out of the ordinary. I then thought to myself, I should try to talk out loud. I've seen this on stupid paranormal shows and stuff. So, I whispered something along the lines of, if there's someone in my room, give me a sign. All of a sudden, my CD stopped playing, and it was just static. It sounded like a crappy AM radio station. My CD player had a built-in radio, so I'm not sure if that got switched on or what. At this point in time, I was petrified. All I could think was, oh crap, I shouldn't have done that. Well, the static continues to play for 5 to 10 seconds. I then say out loud, stop, with a little firmness behind it, but still a whisper. Right as I said, stop, the static stopped and my CD continued playing without a problem. I used that radio/CD player for 4 years before that, and I still use it to this day. And nothing like that has ever happened to me before or anything like that after. It still sends shivers down my spine thinking about that. Case notes for the bonus file. Sigur Ros and the Ethereal Evidence. Honestly, tell this story to any normal person and they would do their best to try and discount it as impossible. But why? The evidence is there. I mean, again, unless the person is lying, which is possible. In all these stories I read, Maybe people are just making it up. I can't tell you that, really. I give people the benefit of the doubt. And I think in the grand scheme of things, most stories I read are true accounts, at least to say. It really did happen to the person. Now, there's all perception issues and stuff like that, but in this case, there's not really much to perceive. The person was there, felt a presence, said, if there's someone there, let it be known, and instantly this happened. The CD player stopped playing. How else do you describe that? Is it just coincidence? I mean, the odds of that are astronomical. To me, this shows how awesome the universe is. It's not something to explain away and just try to deny. That there's mystery and unobservable phenomena that stretch past our current level of scientific understanding is so cool. Who wants to have everything known? That's boring. And this is true even within mainstream academic thought too. For instance, dark matter and dark energy. They describe forces and effects in the universe that are observed everywhere, but we have no theory as to their existence or what they truly are. Dark energy is the force that's expanding the universe and pushing everything apart, even though gravity should be pulling it together. We don't know why that happens, it just happens. And then dark matter is that the amount of gravity that we calculate given the mass of a galaxy doesn't explain how the galaxy stays together. It doesn't have enough gravity to hold itself apart given how fast it's rotating. All the mass is rotating. So given that, there's postulated to be a lot of mass that we can't interact, non-interacting mass. But we don't know what that is. That's why we just call it dark matter and move on. But we have no clue. So those are two genuine scientific mysteries in the mainstream. Who's to say there's not more? Maybe this happens all the time. Spirits are around. They don't always make their presence known. But that doesn't mean that they're not there. We literally have dark matter, which is just a bunch of mass that we know is there because of gravity, but we don't know anything else about it. So spirits aren't a great stretch, really, from that. So yeah, it's energy affecting our environment. Even if we can't say how or what kind yet, that's fine. I think one day we will. In the meanwhile, let's just enjoy the ethereal ride. Bonus file written by Mr. Seabox, The Legacy of a Ghostly Director. Here's one of my many theater ghost stories. For those who don't know, live theaters are notorious for being super creepy, probably because it's a huge open space that is designed to amplify sound, and it is usually very dark when there are no shows going on. So let me set the scene for you. I'm in the light booth with the lighting designer. The light booth is at the rear of the theater and looks out over the audience towards the stage. It allows the light designer to see everything in the audience and on stage, so they can make the shows look good. So I'm laying on a couch that is in the booth, keeping the lighting designer company while she designs the upcoming show. The previous director had died about a year before this. She was beloved by the entire theater, so everyone was devastated when it happened. Her assistant had taken over as director, and we were programming lights for the dead director's favorite show, which the theater decided to produce in her honor. When the dead director had, directed, she had a favorite seat in the audience. It was where she sat for every single rehearsal and show for as long as anyone could remember. After she died, the theater even made a nice satin, seat reserved for dead director's name, ribbon, and refused to sell that seat. Well, ever since she had died, there had been a light in the audience that had been acting up. It was directly over her seat, and it would randomly turn on and off during rehearsals, but never during shows, oddly enough. The tricky part is that the audience lights were all wired through the light board in the booth, and they were all on the same dimmer. This means that you couldn't turn one of them on without turning all of them on. For reference, it would be like turning off a power switch that controlled an entire room of lights and having a single light remain on. Needless to say, everyone was perplexed. We had electricians come in to check the dimmer rack. We had service people come in to check the light board and DMX lines. DMX is a data type used to control theatrical lights. We even checked to make sure it wasn't getting power from somewhere weird like from the sound system. Nobody could figure it out, because for all intents and purposes it should have been impossible. So we're sitting in the light booth, and the light turns on above the director's seat. Keep in mind that we're only 2 people in the building, and we have already locked up everything. So it was already pretty creepy. It had become fairly common by this point, so we kinda just brushed it off and joked about it. Until the phone rang, that is. For reference, There was a phone on the light booth wall. We had tried to get it to work in the past. It could send calls, but could not receive them. Something funky was going on with the wiring, because you simply got a busy signal every time you tried to call it. We tried calling from cell phones and landlines, and neither worked. We had used it to order pizza a few times, but that was pretty much the extent of it. So the phone was ringing. The lighting director had been working there for 4 years, and I had been working there for 3. Neither of us had ever heard that phone ring, because as far as everyone knew, it couldn't receive calls. But here it was, ringing at like 1 in the morning. After the initial surprise, if I'm being honest, both of us probably jumped like a foot in the air. The ringing was really shrill and startled the ever-loving crap out of both of us. Our reaction was disbelief. Who would, or could for that matter, be calling at this time of night? I turned to the lighting director and asked, "So, should I pick it up?" She laughed nervously and said, "Go ahead." So I pick up the phone and say, "Hello?" Static. You would think they would be silent if there was a bad connection, but it wasn't. It was static. So I repeat my answer. Hello? This is theater name. Still static. So I jokingly say, "Nice talking with you too, dead director's name." And the audience light pulsed, then turned off. Needless to say, the lighting director and I gathered our things, shut everything down, and got the hell out of there as quickly as possible. Case notes for the bonus file. The legacy of a ghostly director. The prior lighting director wanted you both to know that she was around. What other way is there to interface with electronics? Flickering lights, the phone ringing. We see this reproduced time and time again, and it's all down to the soul interfacing that connects with us. Even fully alive humans often affect electronic fields accidentally, but then as a spirit, flickering lights are controllable, as this proves in many other occasions. And then, with the phone call, obviously there's no way to transmit her voice through the phone. Even if you can control electronics, you have this ability to just approach it and make a light flicker. You can't code your voice in binary with that ability. I mean, maybe you could with like a trillion years of practice, but no. All she could do is make the phone ring, and then there's just static, random excitations in the phone line. But this isn't even the realm of supernatural for me. It's just describing a normal day. A normal human passed away, a good person, by the sounds of it, and part of their energy, if you don't want to use the word soul, remained behind. Nothing to fear. I remember that account of a demonologist that travels the country. He himself said that there really isn't much to fear in the supernatural realm. If there's God, the Christian God, I don't know what kind of God it would be. Even if that is the actual higher level, and who's to say there isn't not a level even above that, above heaven or God. I don't know. But I do know that even this demonologist that's seen some crazy stuff says there's really not much to fear. It's more the unknown, but as you experience it, it's normal. Demonic possession aside, because that's so incredibly rare, but that is pretty twisted. I don't want to be around someone who's actually possessed, like a real possession. But outside of that, nothing to fear. And now time for the quote of the day. There must be more to life than having everything. Maurice Sendak. Yeah, so a little minimalist cheer here. What can I say to this more than having stuff is good, just be sure that that stuff isn't your life. I think experiences and people are more important than just having stuff, and especially stuff that you don't even use. Declutter your life. It's one of the best pieces of advice I can give to someone is just declutter your life. If you don't want to throw things away, that's fine. I highly recommend that people who have a lot of stuff that they don't really use, just get a storage unit. Yeah, you're spending a bit of money, but then just move it all there. You still have it. It's yours. And, in a decade, if there's something you need from it, it'll still be there. But then it's not cluttering your environment, which you're always inhabiting. Clutter in your environment places a heavy weight on your soul. This is something I've known for a long time. So declutter your life and you'll feel so much better. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.